Thank you for joining us for Turn the Page with Paige, brought to you by Southwestern Illinois College. I'm your host, Paige Hulsey. We've all heard of Rudolph, the most famous reindeer of all. But have you ever considered the rest of Rudolph's family? Maybe he had a sister, Rosie. For a different take on the story of the reindeer that pull Santa's sleigh, we are shining a light on the children's book, Rosie Finds Her Shine, written by Megan Rogers. The inspirational story follows Rosie as she navigates feelings of self-doubt and comparison. We're so excited that author Megan Rogers joins us all the way from Georgia here in studio. Thank you for making the trip to St. Louis.
Thank you for having me.
So glad to have you because this book is adorable. This needs to be added to any Christmas book collection that a family has. It's such a unique take on, the traditional story. I want to learn more about where this idea came from. What was the inspiration?
Well, I owned a dance studio for about 13 years, and in 2011, I actually wrote a show for the stage. We did recitals, much like dance studios do at the holiday time. And I just wanted to do something new because we constantly would repeat the Nutcracker or do something with the Christmas Carol. And I was like, what if Rudolph had a little sister and she wanted to be a Radio City Rocket? And it was actually called Rosie the Rhinestone Reindeer. So her hooves were actually like rhinestoned. It's changed a lot since then, but my mom was a dance mom through and through, and she was my studio seamstress, and she worked as a receptionist, and she loved the show. So every year after that, she would say, I really wish this was a kid's book and I could read it to my future grandchildren one day, because I haven't given her grandchildren at this point either, in case you're wondering. But yeah, she just loved it and she brought it up a lot. So after she passed in 2020, this is kind of what we wanted to do. My husband and I sat down. He was like, let's do it. You can do this. I believe in you. And I said, let's do this to commemorate Mom. So.
It's a beautiful story and a beautiful mission to show your love for her, too, along the way. The story itself is so adorable. I want to talk more about what happens inside the pages of Rosie Finds Her Shine.
Okay, yeah. It's changed a lot since stage, like I mentioned, but in the story now, Rosie actually is the youngest sibling of 7, and all of her brothers and sisters, no names, of course, they all love to work with Santa's sleigh, but Rosie doesn't love that. She wants to dance. And the North Pole just so happens to have this infamous dance line called the North Pole Prancettes. And Rosie is brave enough to go. She's got to really face some fears, tell her family she wants to do something different. She shows up to the North Pole Prancette audition day and finds out when she takes the stage, despite her fears and doubts, her hooves actually glow red. So the story is really about leaning into your God-given ability, getting away from comparison, because as we know, comparison is the thief of joy. So it's a great talking point for kids, siblings, and I've even had a lot of adults that have said, this really meant something to me. Thank you for writing it. So it's been great.
Yeah, and as the youngest child with all older brothers, I think maybe that's why her story resonated with me a little bit.
There you go.
But I do love the message behind it.
Thank you.
Plus it's perfect for the season. The illustrations are adorable.
Stunning, right?
Right, and there's a fantastic local connection to that part too. Tell me more.
So in 2020, when I wrote the book, I actually hired a coach, and she was from St. Louis, Shelly Perdilla. She's a local author, and she hooked me up with Megan Wilson, who did the illustration. She's a St. Louis native, very talented. She's an art teacher, so she's got an art degree. So we just connected over Rosie. It really meant something to her. She poured everything into the illustrations, and you can tell.
There's some really special meaning in some of the pictures as well, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Lots of good stories and nuggets throughout the pages. For example, my house, not to show everybody where I live, but my house is featured in there, which is cute, but Megan wanted to tie it into St. Louis since we were connected through this story, so it features Georgia, and then it's got the arches here in St. Louis. So she wanted to do that as a local, and that means a lot to people when they pick it up from our state or your state.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know my kids, they always love when there's something hidden. It's almost like a scavenger hunt throughout a book. And you have that with candy canes.
Yes, and I have to give props to Megan on that as well, because she said, this is stirring in me. What do you think about doing something like this? And I'm like, I love this idea. We just work so well together on it. And so there's 23 hidden candy canes in the story. It doubles as a scavenger hunt, and the kids love it. We've even done events back home where the local businesses have picked up the candy cane idea, and you would go and stamp your card and Kids would get a free book and a free doll at the end, just fun things like that we've been able to tie in. And we have a board book coming out that's going to feature the candy cane hunt in 2025.
Let's talk more about what's next for you. A board book is fantastic.
Yeah, well, the board book, that's going to be fun because it's going to have glitter and flaps and all the things. And I feel like you always have like younger parents. I would love a good book for my 2-year-old, but she's going to rip the pages.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm like, let's get a board book. But there's actually going to be a second journey for Rosie, and that's been 4 years in the making. It's we're so excited, but she's going to be attending the reindeer games, and she's going to make a friend there, which is a moose. It's a male character. His name is Murphy. So Murphy and Rosie are going to meet up, and they're going to get into some adventures together in 2025.
I cannot wait to see the rest of their story.
Thank you.
You shine, just talking about Rosie when she finds her shine. What is it about creating these books and this series that you enjoy so much?
I love dance. I was a part of it for so long. I've danced since I was 7. Everything's changed. You grow, you get older, life happens. You have tragedies. You have a family now. Like, things start to morph. And when my mom passed, I knew that I couldn't really be in the studio and be present the same way without her, because we did so much of that together. And I really think that God honored the dream of dance in my life, but he morphed it, and he put that dream, a new dream inside of me, and put it in the pages, you know what I mean, the storyline. So Mom's with me, dance is with me.
Speaking of your mom, I mean, what do you think that she would think? Because it seems like without her pushing and encouraging you over the years, this wouldn't have happened. What do you think she would think reading this book, seeing it?
Oh, my mom, you know how people like to say, well, she's smiling down, she's so proud of you. And I'm like, my mom is mad at me right now that I did all this without her, because she was trying to get me to do it. She loved to get up and go. I used to work with dance competitions and conventions and teach camps and things like that. And if she had an opportunity to jump in the car, she would just pack an overnight bag and go. She did not care. Because my mom was sick for a lot of my life. She battled with Addison's disease and cancer off and on since I was very young. So anytime she could get up and go and felt like it, she took advantage of that opportunity. So right now my mom is like, I would love to be doing this with you. I tried to get you to do this. But I know she is proud, and I know that her memory lives on in this book. So every time somebody buys it and takes it home, it is hard for me not to get a little bit of a lump in my throat, because I'm like, you're taking a piece of my mom.
Yeah. It's beautiful, though.
Thank you.
So glad that you came to town, again, from Georgia. You have a busy schedule while you're in town, some special events coming up in St. Charles. You've really turned this book and Rosie into a whole brand. I mean, you're out and about all the time. Yeah. What's that like?
Oh, it's a little bit chaotic. We homeschool, we have 3 kids, and it's a learning, there's no roadmap to it, just like parenting, you know? There's no one size fits all, especially being self-published. Not everything works for every single person, but our family is invested in this, and we kind of are at the point, Paige, where if God says go, we're going to go, and when he says stop, we're going to stop. So, but we are excited to tie everything back in and do new states this year. So I love being in St. Louis. I love St. Charles. It's beautiful.
Oh, yes.
So we're going to do some fun stuff with the Bike Stop Cafe and the Lavello Inn, and you'll have to check those places out, and I can't wait to see you at some of the events.
Yes, it is a fun journey to be on with fellow self-published authors, and I'm so glad to connect with you over this fantastic book. Anything else that you want people to know about Rosie or your journey?
Well, if you guys would love to get a copy of Rosie, get your hands on her, you can check out our website. We have a great site, which is lifeisrosie.co. It's not the .com, because the .com was taken. But apparently co is really big now. So
we'll find you. We'll find you
Find
out
me there. We've got all the great socials. Like you said, a lot of merchandise that goes with it, and one fun activity book that came out this season that goes with the book, and it's really more about being intentional at the holidays. So littles can color, and then it's all words of encouragement or different holidays you celebrate. They can tear it out and they can give it to someone else. So it's meant for them to give.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, before we let you go, we have to ask for your recommendation for a children's book from another author.
Oh man, there's this cute little book, and it is called Twinkle the Littlest Star. I'm sure you can find it on Amazon, because that's where I was looking at it. But it is so moving, so touching, and I want to meet that author. So I think you should meet her too. She's great. I just, the vision of it, the little star, she's not like the other stars. So it reminds me a lot of Rosie. They shine in different ways from other, deer or stars around them. But she's got this fabulous ending where she ends up being the star at the birth of Jesus. So I think that's perfect for the season, and it's just a wonderful message.
Megan, I'm so delighted to meet you today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing Rosie's story. It's beautiful, it's fun, but it's also very inspirational, I think, for a lot of young girls out there. So I hope that many of you watching at home grab a copy. Megan Rogers from Georgia, thank you for coming in. And thank you so much for being here as well, tuning in for Turn the Page with Paige. We hope to see you again soon.